Welcome everyone. My name is Lucien Blondel and I'm going to talk about surgical robotics today. So as an introduction, who am I? So I'm a co-founder and CTO of Quantum Surgical, a French startup commercializing the Epion robot for percutaneous tumor ablation. I have 20 years of experience in imaging and robotics for various specialties in orthopedics, brain, spine surgery, also angiography system, and now interventional oncology for liver, kidney, lung, and bone. So I'm a member of the National Academy of Surgery in the Digital Surgery and Innovation Commission. So my journey in this space has been mostly in a startup, but also corporate environment. I started in 2022, developing the Bridget robot for knee replacement that was sold to Zimmer. Then we developed a robot called Rosa for brain surgery, especially for placing electrodes deep into the brain for epilepsy. We developed also another indication for spine surgery to help place pedicle screws minimally invasively. And then the company was acquired by Zimmer Biomet that used the same ROSA technology for knee implants and hip implants. And now I am with Quantum Surgical, a French startup in interventional oncology, and we started in the liver with the percutaneous ablation procedures in organs that are mobile and deformable. So I'm going to talk about the history, what's the landscape of surgical robotics today, and a couple of words on the trends and future of surgical robotics. So the history starts in the early 80s. There were a couple of robotic systems to use during surgical procedure. So the first brain surgery performed with a robot was done by Dr. Kuo in 1985. The robotic arm was used to do a biopsy guided by CT images of the brain. And there was also another device called ArthRobot that assisted the surgeon to manipulate and position the patient's leg on a voice command. And those procedures were done in 1984. So it's a kind of a 25 plus years history. In the 90s, there were two main fields that have seen the introduction of robotics, laparoscopic surgery and orthopedics with AZOP and Zeus from a US company Computer Motion. So AZOP was a voice-activated endoscope holder and Zeus a teleoperated robot. And Robodoc was actually an automatic milling robot for hip replacement. Then it's the rise of the intuitive surgical and the Da Vinci platform with the first generation that you can see in the picture, and also robotic assistant for hard tissue procedures, so in the spine with Maser, in the knee with Mako, and also in brain surgery with the ROSA system. So since then, Intuitive established a monopoly in the surgical robotics field. In the 2010s, there were a lot of activity in this space with deals over $1 billion from Stryker, Medtronic, Siemens, acquiring medtech startups. Also, new fields being investigated, such as bronchoscopy with Auris Health and Intuitive, endovascular, coronary, and peripheral interventions. Like Siemens, we've seen also the arrival of robotic digital microscopes, replacing conventional microscopes and robots for microsurgery. So right now there is a race in soft tissue robotics with competing with Intuitive Surgical, Medtronic, J&J, CMR, and other companies around the world, and also the addition of new devices for single port procedures. In orthopedics, there is a big competition between corporates to gain market shares in implants, and we've seen also medical imaging players more active in this field, like Siemens. So key figures from two global leaders right now in the space. Intuitive, they have installed over 7,500 Da Vinci robots worldwide. Over 10 million procedures have been performed with their fourth generation of robots, and they have a 87 billion market capitalization. So it's really a huge player in this field. And when it comes to Stryker, this data comes from 2021. They have installed over 1,000 Mako robots and performed 500,000 procedures since the product launch. So the map of all the indication for surgical robotics is pretty vast. So I tried to summarize this here. Of course, we have all this, what you call the soft tissue robot in general surgery, urology, gynecology, cardiac, thoracic, all the system that we know. The vascular, so either cardiac or peripheral procedures, a lot of systems in a bone surgery for knee, hip, pelvis, brain, spine, but also craniomaxillofacial, ENT, and dental. And we've seen also a lot of application for HIFU, which is a high intensity focused ultrasound in varicose veins, in the liver, and also neuro, prostate, bone met, and uterine fibroids. And then there are more outside application like hair restoration, ophthalmology, and venipuncture. So the laparoscopy field is now quite a crowded space with maybe 40, 50 companies active in this field with either multi-port or single port or natural orifice devices. So this is only the system with multi-port design architecture. So you can see that there are a lot of systems that are quite similar. But there are different applications as well, like hair transplantation, that is the ARTAS system, or dental implantation, that is the Yomi robot, and also robotic tele-ultrasound solution for rural areas, that is the Melody robot coming from France. What we've seen in the last 5 years, maybe, is the rise also of robotics coming from China. So this is an example, just one example of the many companies out there. The Microport company is operating with a robot in 5 different specialties. 2 of them they have developed in-house, and the 3 others have been developed through a partnership with a joint venture. Couple of words on the trends and the future in this field. So there is not only a robot right now in the operating room, there is a whole digital ecosystem that the system has to be interoperable with. So it starts with pre-surgical planning with a lot of 3D modeling, smart sensors that can be used during the procedures in orthopedics, and during post-operative care. You can see a lot of application to feed data and analyze data, like the surgical video feeds, mobile applications, wearables, and also rehabilitation devices producing data. Of course, artificial intelligence is here to leverage this huge amount of data and to enable, during planning, AI-driven disease detection or AI-driven surgical planning. During intraoperative procedure, there is a promise to move towards autonomous surgical gesture. And also for the post-operative care, there is a lot of outcomes that can be tied to the whole ecosystem. Another technology that is rising is the augmented reality and the virtual reality system. So first, you can see this as a marketing and sales tools to demo a product, but it's also used for surgical training and also metrics-based training assessment. There are systems used for pre-surgical planning that creates 3D rendering of the anatomy that helps with preparing the intervention, and also during the intervention, augmented reality can guide the instruments, like for pedicle screw placement. The last technology is the telepresence that is being used more and more in combination with robotics to enable remote collaboration, so collaboration with peers, physicians, but also remote customer support, also for training and more broadly to communicate around the surgery. Thank you very much.
So Jean-Claude Coffinal, who is a thoracic surgeon, is the referent for us in Academy for Innovation and Access to Innovation.
Just a little word. We have chosen 2 presentations, 2 lectures from 2 colleagues. And they made it in a very short time, especially for you. One is about robotics. It's a very important issue in France to have the generalization of robotic surgery. And the second one is on the topic also very important. It's artificial intelligence in surgery, and we are going to say some words after the presentation, the second presentation.